when did you realize that you were part of this legacy of Editoriale Domus?
So, at home, I never heard my mother or two adults talking about, the work, which was the day. So when I was very young, I knew that there was something that had to do with family business, but I knew not so much because obviously my mother was not talking about work or something like this with us. But the very deep understanding of what it means, yeah, I was a little bit older, because I never heard talking about this in the house, at home, and so I couldn't understand very well what was a family business really in reality.
The feeling of responsibility, when did that set in for you, where you felt like that you might be actually responsible for this legacy and for this business at some point? Did that trigger you at some point, or did that come at a different time or around the same time?
So my mother, she always said, when we were younger, that yeah, we had this company, but we could choose whatever we wanted in the life. So my mother, we are two sisters, me and my sister, almost 2 years of difference. And my sister decided to do something completely different because she's a professional horse rider. She went to do 3 Olympic Games. So she decided to do something completely different. And my mother, she always told me the same thing. But for me, there was something inside who said, okay, family business, it's really it's something important, because you do even the culture of Italy, doing what even my grandfather did. So at the very beginning, I said, okay, I have to see, I have to understand if it's something for me or not. And then when I graduated, I said, okay, I want to try and to see if it's something that could be interesting for me or not. And so I started to work in the family company. And then I said, okay, I like it.
So, over all this time, your country has changed so much. I mean, Italy has transformed many, many times over the last 100 years. What were the pivotal moments in the past? Like when you joined, did you look back and see, like, okay, these were very strategic moments where we took decisions that really define also what we look like today? Do you have two or three moments in the history where you're like, if we hadn't taken that turn, things would have turned out very differently? Do you have any of those present in your mind?
Our name is Editoriale Domus, okay, because the first publication that we had was Domus. But nowadays, we are absolutely even not only a media company, we are something completely different. So I can say that the big pillars that changed the way and the history of the company are, I could say, three or four. So the first one, or still when my grandfather was in the company, we passed from publication which were with a very large print, so many copies printed, like for example Il Mondo, Settimo Giorno, L'Europeo. So we had these publications, and we turned to publication who were very, vertical on specific industries. Architecture and design with Domus, Tharawat, which is the pillar of all our mobility magazines, and then we have Cucchiaio d'Argento, which is the silver spoon about cooking, and Meridiani Montagni on the travel. So this was absolutely one of the pillars. The second one was becoming from a company who was doing paper to a company who was producing contents. Okay, so we switched by being, the content was really the focus of what we were doing. So it means doing content for the different platforms. So for the websites, for the socials, for the events. So this was another very important pillar. And I would say the third one was from doing content, going through the brand. So now the brand is the focus where we work. And so we produced this system of information and of content. For example, if we think about Quattro Ruote, because we are in these four, as I said, sectors, yes, but the mobility is the largest one, where we have the biggest business nowadays. And this is something that has nothing to do with the publishing company, but each branch of the company who is growing really very, very fast.
You had a website for Quattro Ruote in 1996. That seems to be a train that a lot of publishers missed. And that a lot of publishers, even after in the early 2000s, refused to accept the internet as a reality. Can you tell us a little bit more about, like, how your mother, why she understood that maybe before others did? Do you have any idea? Was that a stroke of luck, or were you all very aware of what you were doing there?
Many times we tried to do something that we thought could be the future. Sometimes we failed, even because, as the strategy is very important, but it's even more important when you put the strategy to become real. So if you become too early in a market, it's not so good. So as you can imagine, at the beginning with the website, we were absolutely not earning because, so I could say instead, we many times, as I said before, we tried to do something, new. And so it was, I think, a mix of many things, for sure, even being lucky, yes, even trying to understand this new media was becoming real. So we said, okay, we have to be there. Okay, even we did the same thing. Even we have been one of the first publisher in Italy who did the digital version of the magazine. We have been perhaps the first one with Quattro Ruote always. And we said, okay, we must be there. Then we will understand how we'll earn money by doing this.
How do you manage this reputation pressure, this reputation game in the day and age of social media and all of these platforms that basically have given your reader sometimes a louder voice than your own publications?
I'm a positive person, so I think that this way, all the changes can be an opportunity, from my point of view. Thinking that a business can be the same one for 90 years, it's impossible. So you just have to understand what is happening and trying to take, the positive things of which is happening. It's the market, it's the new world, and we have to get, even to know and live even with this new way of saying, writing the content.
Do you feel like being a family business constitutes a competitive advantage for you in some shapes or forms? Do you think about that actively at all, or do you talk about it with the family at all?
I think that being a family business has even great plus, because sometimes when you have to, sit at some tables, the fact that you are even, one of the owner gives you, the power to be much more effective. And another thing is that even, the process of taking decisions, it's much, much more quick.
What was it like when you started working with your mother initially? Like, do you feel like your relationship with her has changed since you have been both working in the company together? Or did you discover things about her that you didn't know, sides to her character that were unfamiliar to you when you started working together every day?
I have a very, very good relationship with her. We have absolutely the same values by, doing our business. We have a very different leadership and the way we work, because we are two different generations. So at the very beginning it was perhaps easier because I saw her, I was very young, and so she was, the president and the CEO of the company. So I started really by listening a lot. Nowadays I think I have all the tools to keep and to have my ideas and to take my decision.
What's your advice to women coming into those kinds of roles and capacities for the first time? Like, how would you guide them to make sure that their impact is felt in a positive way?
I think that the way I think I always used to act in this, for being a woman, is just to be myself. So I think that you can't think and act like a man could do it, because it's not the right way. Women and men working together, it's the biggest and the most, power you can have in a company.
Where do you go for advice, Sophia? Like, when you need advice, who do you turn to? Do you turn to the memory of your grandfather and how he used to do it? Do you go to your mother? Do you go to people outside? Like, where do you get your input when things get difficult and you don't know what to do?
Yeah, obviously I talk to my mother. Yes, I talk to the managers in the company, 2 or 3 people that I think that could give me their opinion, and even sometimes to friends outside the company who even have a family business, or who I think that they are good managers.
Any particular big wishes that you have for the future? Do you have like this big idea in your head that this is going to remain a family business forever, for instance, or do you have any other larger ambitions that you want to fulfill within your career time with the company?
I think that you just must be very open minded. I would say, in my mind, I would be very happy if this could continue to be a family company. Then, you must even see what happens, and how is the world evolving. But because, you can have a wish, but you must be even, focused on reality. So I would say yes, all family business forever, but we will always open minded even to see what could be when they happen. But in this moment, yes, family business, that's it.